Hey, welcome back to another episode of Radio 22's Talk 22, the show hosted by me, your boy Mizzle to the Jizzle. We're back yet again, bringing you the conversations that you want to talk about, and we bring it to you with nothing but the real. And it don't get no realer than today's show. But I want to, before we get to that, I want to thank everybody that came through and had the conversation we talked last week about my Packers. I'm still sad about that. You know how they got put out the playoffs. We supposed to be at the bowl right now celebrating with our COVID mask on, but it ain't happened for us. But hopefully next year, we still get A-Rod under contract, so hopefully that still works out in our favor. He did not get traded away to any of these other teams as of yet. So that being said, I will move on and shall proceed and continue to this conversation because this one is very, very necessary. As we move into February here now is Black History Month, and it's the first week of Black History Month. And that being said, we look at the kind of atmosphere that we are in of today's climate, and we see that there's a lot going on for Black people in these days, But one of the things that I was noticing as I'm looking through the internet, like I always do, I'm seeing a lot of violence actions being portrayed to the Black woman. A lot of action to the Black woman, and to me, as I look at it, I'm looking at it like, why is this happening so often? Are we as Black men not doing our due diligence in protecting the Black women in our families, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, our cousins, our nieces? What's going on there? Because there's just too much violence to Black women that I'm seeing on the news of late. So I think we're going to talk about it. And helping me with that conversation, I got a few of my heavy hitters, like I always do. Out of the Madison area, I got the homie One of Many. Can you unmute your mic and please say what's up to the people?
What up, y'all? It's One of Many here checking in with Let's Work. I'm just happy to be here. Have a good time, have a good conversation, but let's talk about some necessary issues. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, we appreciate you coming to the show. Also on the line, coming back to the show, we got the homie Bang from the Madison area. Bang, can you say what's up?
Yeah, what's good? Appreciate y'all for having me again. It's going to be a good night.
And we appreciate you, Bang, as well, coming back to the show. Always insightful in the conversation that he brings. And last but not least, out of the LA, out of California, we got the homie K Sankofa's on the line. Can you say what's up to the people?
What's good, everybody? Yeah, just to echo, glad to be in the mix. Some real serious needed discussions, like you said. So yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, Black History Month. This is the time to speak, and we're gonna speak proudly about it. So let's get it. We're gonna step into the first conversation. I'm gonna just address it. We had the Million Man March happen way back in October of 1995. And followed by another Million Man March in 2015. And in that, was supposed to be a call to arms for us Black men to kind of self-reflect and look at it as whether or not we are doing our part in the culture. There's a lot being said about that, but that being said, I'm going to go to the first question I want to ask. One of Many, I'm going to go start with you. Do you feel that Black men do enough to protect the Black women in general?
It's a tricky question, but what I will say is no, in so many ways, but not to go back and forth, but I would say in that same breath, who's protecting the Black man as well. So it's like you asking a man who's afraid for his life in his own self to now become this super barrier of the same issues that we face that's common. So I would say he do what he can to the best of his ability, but I won't say like he's not protecting the woman or the Black woman of the community. I would say the barriers that has been placed are being exposed and displayed of how our hands are tied in so many ways. Now, is the question, why aren't so many black men dead behind protecting a black woman? Or is it like, do we really have our resources in place to properly protect ourselves and all of our community? And I would have to say no to that as well. But to answer the question, it is no. But I will also say that that's by design too.
Okay. So saying no, but there may be reasons for that.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Case and Kofa, I'm gonna go to you with that same question. You know, we look at it, you know, it is in general, it is the duty of the male to provide and protect for his household. That's just, you know, I mean, that's the old saying, that's the way it goes. It's the duty of the male to provide and protect for his household. Do you feel like the black men do enough to protect black women in general?
I think like one of many said, that is an interesting question, and it's got a lot of nuances around it. Like even when you mention the male duty to provide and protect, as that is an evolutionary thing that we've seen, like, you know, with society, men going out and hunting and things like that, and women nurturing villages and families and communities. But even now, looking at it, how some of it's flipped on his head, how a lot of women provide, and we see the women as the pillars of our communities, and grandmas hold it down, and everybody, you know, knows that, you know, the mother's love is what holds the household together. And in many ways, you know, I would say, you know, even though that is our, you know, evolutionary duty, and that is something that we want to move towards, one thing that is true is that not enough of it is had. Like, you know, one thing Malcolm X said is the most disrespected person in America, the most unprotected person, and the most neglected person is the black woman. And that's still true to this day. And so, you know, I think about it in terms of, you know, like one of many said, we don't necessarily have the infrastructure and the resources set up to have our communities the way we want them to be. And some of those institutional barriers are, you know, the fact that a lot of, you know, fathers and a lot of men in our communities are subjugated to the American criminal justice system and aren't able to be present for such a thing. And I think that it's a challenge that we have to continually embrace every single day. Like you said, it is something that we feel a necessary duty in ourselves of, but it's something that we always need to check ourselves on it. And even further than that, you know what I'm saying? The society that we you know, live in is, you know, very much catered to that neglect of women. We live in a male-based society, and so one thing we do have to do as black men as well is like not only make sure that we are the ones who are protecting and pushing for that protection, but that we aren't the ones propagating the danger or propagating the neglect or propagating the disrespect towards our own women. So I think that's a couple ways that I see it.
Okay, okay, fair enough. We appreciate that. Bang, you know, I want to say it was a couple weeks ago we were in this podcast, Bang, and you were on the line with us, and you know, the homie BK did have something to say, something similar to this conversation. You know, where he was speaking on the fact that, you know, in many situations it's the woman that's holding the black family household down and not the man, and it's a woman that's doing the protecting. So my question to you, Bang, is do you feel like the black men do enough to protect black women?
I would say, as far as protecting the black women in the community, no, because I think that we do need to be stronger as a community. But as far as maybe like in a relationship, uh, you know, with that being said, I feel like, you know, we do, and I would say more men should protect their black women. So it's not that, you know, we don't, but we do need more black men to take relationships and marriages and commitments more serious, and to take our black women more serious. I mean, me Um, I definitely protect mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm the lion. You know, I'm the king of the castle. But at the same time, you know, my woman is the queen of the castle. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so we a team. You know, we work together. We protect each other. You know, and we provide for each other. But at the same time, me being that lion, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna die for mine. You know what I'm saying? And it is my job to make sure that my family and everybody that's within my castle is protected and provided for at all times. So I most definitely will, you know, die protecting my family. And I do think that a lot of black men feel that way about their women, but you know, there are a lot of cases where, you know, two people don't have that dying love for each other, and they don't have that heart, you know, to protect and to ride or die, you know, for whatever reasons. But uh, I think that us as black people, we definitely do have it in our heart, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that more of us, you know, just need to act on that.
Okay. One of the things I did see on the internet as I was looking through that kind of brought to my attention was one of the stories that hurt my heart was the story of the young high school girl in the Florida area who I guess was getting into it with some other girls, and the I guess the security team did feel like they needed to be separated or whatnot, and through that, I guess the police of the school got hands on the girl and slammed her on the concrete with her head on the ground and knocked her out with the manhandling move. Myself being a, quote unquote, shout out to Kobe, girl dad, you know, I I didn't know how to even take that, because I do have a daughter of my own, and to know something like that go down, you know, you may feel a type of way. So my question to you guys all would be, how do we protect our daughters from the police brutality like we saw at Liberty High in Oskaloosa, or however you say that, Florida, Oskalio. Excuse me for mispronouncing it. But how do we protect our daughters from that brutality that we seen in Florida? I'm gonna go back to you, Bang.
Man, I think that we pretty much just have to strengthen our community. Nothing like that should happen. Or I mean, I feel like any type of police brutality should not happen within our community. I feel like everyone that's around should stand up and protect our own people. That I mean, I don't know what was going on in his head to do something like that to a girl, but at the same time, if we were strong and we protected each other, and the police knew that they just can't come to our area and disrespect our people like that and manhandle our people
Hmm.
and you know disrespect our women or even kill our people right there in front of our face. If they know that they can't do that without something happening to them, then it wouldn't happen. You know, so I feel like, you know, we need to, you know, maybe put the phones down and put the hands up, you know, instead of recording and snapping pictures. You know, we need to do something about it.
Okay. I mean that is definitely one feeling that I did have in looking at the video. But when I think about that though, I mean, uh, a lot of other races, if there was a situation like that was to happen, that is not how they handle it. They do handle it different ways. So I guess I want to ask one of many, uh, how do we protect our daughter in these police brutality situations like we've seen in Florida? I mean, a lot of times, kids are gonna act up, and black kids ain't the only ones that act up. But how do we protect our kids from having situations like that happen?
Yeah, and I think that's another great question, and I agree. I'm also a girl dad. I have two little girls. So watching anything disrespectful to women, girls in general, I mean, if you have really a relationship with like a female or you have the a benefit of having a daughter, like you gonna feel some type of way. So with that, it's just more like I believe we need a black mafia type of response. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and more than just ways of violence and money. Like we just need it just need to be a known factor that certain punishments, certain consequences will come after doing certain things within, you know, the Black community. Like now it's to go back to the last question, like it was like we produce a culture of music that degrades the same woman we are being asked to protect on this show. So it's like we have to just figure out what is the path, right? And we can't flip flop it. Oh, that's just hip hop. That's just music. That don't matter because this is the only way some cultures are being introduced to our Black women for the first time. And if it's through the lyrics of our favorite rappers saying that they're not who we say they are now, this is the type of results that's gonna happen. So we just need to like even check ourselves, like because we don't need to be checked by outside parties. Like we just need to check ourselves and get it right there, because as sad as it sounds, that just happened again today. You know what I mean? It didn't make the news somewhere like this is happening. You know what I mean? And it's being accepted. So like I'm with Bang. You know, it's like it's not about capturing the moment for the next World Star video. It's about organizing your call to response before stuff like this happen, because we know it's possible. You know, we gotta protect ourselves at all times, man. Like, and that's a part of the process. We need areas that's integrated with independence. You know what I'm saying? And martial arts, firearms, how to grow your own food, like, you know, real school education. Like it's a lot, because we allow, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I did miss the last show, Bang. So you feel me? I'm trying to get back, you know. But we got to understand like what we are asking of the generation that was raised that are now men now. You know, it's like, okay, now what were they influences all throughout middle school, high school? Now they 23, 24, you know. It's like what to expect. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we got to just find a way to check ourselves before we allow mainstream headlines to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, let me ask real quick, K Sankofa, same question, but I want to say, you know, okay, we just recently the courtside Karen situation with LeBron and you know, the white lady, I guess, going back doing the back and forth and whatnot. Now, if this was courtside Karen had her baby just had get slammed on the floor like that, she would have made an uproar. She would have made this way bigger deal than we are even seeing right now. Why is it that we cannot protect our own in the same type of way?
I think first of all, I think One of Many and Bang hit it like on the nail. We need to be organized in our response, and we need to be strategic. And there needs to be some unspoken set of consequences, an unspoken set of rules where people know that, you know, the behavior won't be accepted or tolerated at all. And one thing that comes to my mind is like, you know, I don't have no daughters or no kids, right? But I got a sister, you know what I'm saying? I got a mother, I got you know, family members, and I got nieces. And so I think about them, and I also work in the school system. So I think about the kids who I work with. And one thing that it has me thinking about is like, what was the race of it was the security guard who did this?
It was a police officer that was in the school.
And he was in the school. And so what was his race? He was white?
White, yes.
And so my thing is we talk about community control, and that was one thing that One of Many mentioned. We talk about community control, and we say it in terms of the police. We say we need community control over our own finances. And we say we need community control over a lot of different things. And one thing that we continually need community control over is the systems that are educating our kids. Right. So if that's a Black police officer, or if it ain't no police in the school and you got Black social workers in there, then this situation can be averted. But that's a call to action for us as a community to be organized and to also be in the places that, you know, can so drastically affect the development or the safety of our kids. I'm thinking about, you know, at any school that I worked at, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, there's something like that, you know. In my eyes, this cannot happen while I'm at this school. We should never be letting anything like this happen. It was a kid who almost even got arrested at the school that I work at. But I did everything in my power to get that kid out of that situation because I'm a black male was talking to this other black male about the situation, young black male about the situation that could be in his life. So, in my eyes, it's got to be somebody at the school who can work with our youth the way our youth can be worked with. Because if we're not controlling the situation, if we don't have the positions of power where these decisions are being made or where these detrimental acts are being had, then what can we say? All we can then do is have a response. We don't really want to have a response to anything like this. We don't want to have to respond to nothing like this. But when we do, we have to have that approach that One of Many and that Bang was saying. We have to have something to show for the fact that it won't be tolerated. But I think that we need to have more organization in place ahead of time, and we need to be, controlling our communities in terms of the education and in terms of who's there servicing our students, who doesn't actually have their best interests at heart. Because I can't see there being any reason for any police officer to do anything like what has been described to a little girl for no reason. You know what I'm saying? No, whatever type of language she was using or whatever was going on, there has to be a better way to handle that situation. If we ain't got somebody in there who look like us, who can determine that and make the judgment call, then we at a loss.
Okay, we thank you for that answer. Okay, so going with that, would you? My question to you guys is, I'm gonna go back to you, Bang. I want to ask, do you feel like you would feel differently about the situation if the officer would have slammed a young boy? If it would have been a young black boy, do you think you would have felt differently about that situation?
No, I would feel the same exact way. I mean, it does hit a little harder that it's a female, but it's the same category. It's under the same book, just a different subject. So I would feel the same exact way. It's just as bad. It's just as hurtful. We still have the same problems. Police officers they seem to get away with just about anything. The laws are messed up, and that's the reason why they are able to do what they want to do because they have no fear of consequences at all from either way, from the streets or legally. So it's just it's a real big problem. It's real sad, that we got to go through this.
Okay. Case Sankofa, I'm coming back to you. I think part of the situation, I had to check my own temperature, and I feel like me seeing the young girl it kind of sparked me right there. That he slammed this young girl on the. We all big grown men. It don't take nothing for us, to slam a young little girl. What do you get out of that? So my question to you is, do you feel like it's more that she was a young girl? Do you feel like if it was a young boy, we would feel a little differently?
Just being honest, like, if it was a young boy, I think I definitely would feel a little differently about it. Not to say that, it's any less wrong. Like, from the stance of right and wrong, it ain't no less wrong. But it's like, the sentiment behind it is like, yo, that's a little girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't even really, articulate other than, bruh, that's a little girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if anything, like your job as the officer in the school is to protect her. You know what I'm saying? But that's not in his mind. And that's what takes me back to like we need to be in these positions at these schools. And like whoever this officer is, who clearly his mind ain't about protecting this girl, but like that's something else for you to do that. Like, what force are you thinking? Because in my head, I'm thinking, what force do you feel like she could use against you that felt you could adequately or appropriately apply the force that you did? Now, even if it's a young man who might be a little bit bigger, you know what I'm saying? The officer might be able to, even if it's wrong, try to justify, well, this young man was bucking up at me and he's a big young middle schooler or however old this situation is, even though that's still wrong. You know what I'm saying? In my head, I'm like, what kind of force do you really think that you up against with this little kid and you a grown man? So I think I definitely feel some type of way. that it's a girl over that it's a boy, I think, you know, it's a whole different discussion, even though it's the same evil.
Got you. I think that's kind of how I was looking at it the same way. One of many, I will give you an opportunity to answer that too. You know, girl or boy, I do agree with Case and Kofa that it is kind of wrong either way. But you know, we got to look at it in the other light. You know, sometimes these kids they do get kind of wild. You know, if you've been to some of these schools, some of these kids do get kind of wild, and some of these kids will test you. They don't care how big or grown you are. Do you feel like you would have felt a little bit differently if it was a young boy in this situation?
To be honest, it has been a little boy in those
Mm,
situations, right?
of
And
course.
it don't make it better, you know, worse. It just don't. But like, let's be for real. If this was a little boy, they wouldn't have labeled him as a little boy. For the sake of the media, they would have labeled him as a man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's the narrative we'll be talking about now. He could 16, 17, they'll label him a man to like soften the blow. But that's somebody's son, that's somebody's daughter. If you can't handle the kids, don't work at the school. Period. K said
Mm,
Kofi worked with kids before. I worked with kids before. It ain't no, I ain't never slammed none of them. And I worked with the bad kids that, well, I ain't gonna call them bad. It's the ones that they rather wash their hands with. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So no, it don't matter. It just shouldn't happen. That's why I agree. We should put certain people in the schools or wherever there's negligence. We should replace them with community leaders that got like he said, the mother's offer, the nourishment. You know, it's like we need more conversation. We don't need conflict and people getting body slammed. We know you can do that.
Okay. Uh, all right. I thank you for that. All right. So one of the other situations that we've seen come across the news just recently is there was a situation with the homie Ti and his wife Tiny, and you know, I guess there's been a lot of conversations about the stuff that they do in their bedroom and whatnot. And I guess there is a alleged situation from a former friend of Tiny, Sabrina Peterson, who claims that Ti ran up on her with a pistol, as well as some other abuse situations. My question to you, one of many, how should we feel about the allegations that the former friend of Tiny, Sabrina Peterson, has made about Ti and Tiny in those situations?
I definitely understand the question, but like seeing that you said that the allegations, like I don't really want to even speak on the conversation to be honest, because of it's an allegation. And for two, like they married, they have a family. It seems like the person was an adult, they was grown. So it's like the decision was made consciously. And I don't know. I just no comment on this question, bro.
Okay, fair enough. Uh, Bang, I will come to you with that same question. I mean, if this allegation is true, you know we've seen Ti speak up so many times on abuse towards women. How should we see him as a man? I guess if any of these allegations really do come across as confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with one of many on this one, because that right now they are allegations, and we do tend to run with stories, when people claim certain things have happened, or people could be lying and stuff like that. But when something comes out and it's juicy and it sounds good, we kind of run with it. Or if it could be true, we kind of run with it. So I mean, yeah, if it is true, of course it's messed up, but at the same time it could not be true, at the same time. So it's really, I don't know if it's really fair, to talk about if it is true, and then it turns out that it's not true. I think that might be kind of uh help it to hurt, the man's image, when we really don't know, saying the true facts.
Okay, that's fair enough. Case and Kofa, I guess I'm gonna give three strikes and I'm out here, but I'm gonna give you a try. How should we feel if this indeed does come across as a true situation, of course, we don't know. We don't know in any of these cases really what the real deal was. We just know what is told to us. But do you feel like in a situation like that, that we should look at Ti in a different way? I guess.
So this is Tiny's friend.
Yeah, a former friend of Tiny has came across with the allegations that Ti ran up on her with the pistol and demanded some things on her and whatnot. This is what the he say, she say.
Mm. Well, I actually don't even really I'm not too familiar with the situation. And I'm not sure if it's enough information for a intelligible comment. And I agree with one of many and bang, like, it's not necessarily good to speculate on people, you know what I'm saying? Nobody, because we don't want nobody speculating on us for something like that. I will say that we don't know when they're saying this happened. And we don't know any details or facts behind it. Um, all we know is that she's making an allegation about him,
Mm-hmm.
and that this is something that may have been in their past. And so I think if it's something that's serious, she might push forward with it, and we'll find out. But if it's not, you know what I'm saying, I can't, I feel like, if T.I. made a mistake, does that make me, not like T.I.? Like, I feel like T.I.'s been in the heat for some, over the past year with the comments he made about the hymen and, some other stuff. So it's like, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people are people and people are controversial, and things happen. And if that happened, there's no way for me to know or determine. And if it's serious and if it needs attention, it will probably get that attention. But otherwise, am I able to forgive T.I. if he made a mistake? Yeah. Do I know if he made a mistake? No. Do I know
Right.
any information about it? Not at all. I didn't even know about this until you just told me. But if you ask me what I think about T.I. as a person, I think that he's done a solid job of standing up for his family and like
Okay.
standing up for what he believes in. I think we see him as, a rapper who was rapping and doing his thing. But now I feel like T.I. is a family man. You know what I'm saying? And I think part of what he represents, not everything and everybody is great, but
Mm-hmm.
part of what T.I. represents, from how I see T.I., he represents familyness, like black
Mm-hmm.
family and a holistic view of family, which is something that we, are lacking today. So,
Right.
while everybody has situations that may be controversial or wrong or right or a mistake or something that might have went down that wasn't the most pleasing to God, you know what I'm saying, or to whoever else was involved. I think that what I see from what he stands for today, my holistic view of T.I. is, I still support T.I. If I see him in a movie, you know what I'm saying, I don't feel any type of way against T.I. Like, you know what I'm saying, where it's like you have other people who things have happened, like people who you can't support, like R. Kelly, you can't support that nigga. You know what I'm saying? But T.I. is
Okay.
like, I feel like, T.I. is like, he's a man. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
to me today, I'm like, he looks like a family man. You know what I'm saying? And I think he represents more than what he used to represent. Which he what he say? He called himself the founder of trap. You know what I'm saying?
Rubber band man.
Rubber
Yeah.
band man. So T.I. he got an extensive history. So
Uh-huh.
my thing is like my thing is like, even if it was true, I wouldn't be surprised. Like T.I. is a street dude. Like
Okay.
that don't mean that it was a good thing. That don't mean that if that happened is a good thing. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I have
course.
no idea. But I just say, I respect who he is today. I think sometimes he gonna make comments that people don't like and women don't like. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
other than that, I can't give no real context on the situation. But that's just my kind of
We got you.
But
Okay,
no,
well,
people
I
make
thank you for that. All right, so let me ask you this then, Kay Sankofa. Do we give celebrities a pass on abuse? Like a lot of times you spoke out R. Kelly, and we know in that situation a lot of times it was the actual parents that introduced the young ladies to R. Kelly and would bring the girls to R. Kelly was the actual parents. So you know, so many times people are cut off the celebrity hype. I feel. Do you feel like we give these celebrities a pass in these situations of abuse?
You know, the honest truth answer is yes, we do. And whether that's sub-psychological or psychological, or you know, whether it's intentional, whether that's factored in or manufactured by the media that propagates the story to us, we do. You know, celebrities. R. Kelly was doing what he was doing for the longest before, you know, we had this sort of huge paradigm shift in how we see things in society, and all of these campaigns against um, uh, these actors of abuse started
Mm-hmm.
to come around more so in the Me Too era. But you know, we give and it's even people, you know, and it's difficult to think about because like you think about your favorite rapper or a lot of people's favorite rapper.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of cases out there, and then it's like you think about a guy like Tupac. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't
Yeah.
know necessarily all the details about the situation that he went through, but we know he was tried and convicted in court. You know what I'm saying? And
True.
so it's like, but at the same time, we gonna bump Tupac flawlessly, but we also believe in his character holistically, and we believe that if it was something that he made a mistake with, that you know the good outweighs the bad in his character, and we believe him to be better than that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like we do. Now sometimes some people, you know what I'm saying, you can get canceled quick today. But there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people throughout the history of our celebrity intake and celebrity entertainment and engagement that you know not as we don't let those thoughts cross our mind a second time, and it's not a good thing. It allows people to live high on the horse. Um, somebody said what Dove said what I was saying about Tupac. Well, Tupac was convicted of a abuse case, but he's still
That's true.
somebody who's one of my favorite rappers. You know what I'm saying? And it's like and while I'm talking about us giving celebrities a pass, I'm trying to coincide that with the fact that not everybody is their worst deed. You know what I'm saying? I think he stood more for trying to protect black women than trying to harm black women. You know what I'm saying? And it's a judgment call based on who we look at and what we want to consume. Like when one of many said, "Whoa, when the music that we making in hip hop, we got to choose whether we want to support women or whether we gonna keep on degrading women." And
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick said, "I remember you was conflicted, misusing your influence in the conversation leading up to him talking to Pop." So,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the reality of it. Like, yes, we do give celebrities a pass all the time, and certain celebrities get more of a pass. If you don't look like us with the melanin, you probably gonna get an even bigger pass. But even for the ones that we love in the black community, we've given folks passes over the years, and I think it's when we see redeemable characteristics and traits, and when people redeem themselves, that's a beautiful thing, right? That's great. That's okay. But situations where behavior continually manifests, and we see, like you say, even with R. Kelly, the issue is you got fault on behalf of the parents, some of the parents who were engaging with this intentionally as well, and then you got fault with the cycle of his life growing up in abuse. But it's like we got to get some help for this person if this is the reality around the situation. We can't allow abuse in that cycle to continue, and by supporting, we do that sometimes. But I'm saying, I think for some celebrities who get a pass, we do see redemptive value. Other times we don't, and I think it's okay to understand the complexity of humanity, as long as we know what our values are centered towards. Right? I remember you was conflicted, but it ends with for me, the message of Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? It ends with, uplifting black women and uplifting blackness and power and all of the good stuff. So yeah, I think it's a complex question, and I feel like I could keep on rambling. So I'ma just let it slide.
All right, I'm gonna save you from that. I'm gonna save you from that.
Yeah.
One of many. I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, Do you think rappers like Bun B was wrong for standing up for Megan Thee Stallion against the Tory Lanez case? I guess that was another case where we saw a situation where there was a violence harm towards a young black girl. And him being the big homie out of the Houston, Texas area, he went ahead and stood up for him before. I guess we totally know all the facts of the case or anything. He stood up for it. Do you feel like he was wrong for that?
See, like it's funny too, man, because I would be more helpful, and this an honest response, bro. Like if it was somebody like in Madison locally, right, or something like that. And I say that because in the entertainment world, I don't know what's what I mean, real, what's entertainment, what's selling for records, what's doing what. Like they say Megan Thee Stallion got shot, but she was performing, what I mean, the same week or something like that. And it's just like I don't know, what I mean. People got mixtapes dropping, a lot of these things for headlines, but I don't really like to talk about other people's business. But when in a sense of was Bun B wrong,
Mm-hmm.
I would. This is what I would say. I wouldn't have spoke on it before the facts, but when it comes to like who is a solid person and who are we talking about, Bun B is not Pimp C. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be clear with that. You know what I mean? Like, and what I mean, there's no disrespect to Bun, but like Pimp C was more of the, live wire, radical one, like who gonna speak his mind, like not be conforming. So I'm not going with the flow. So I'm not like on edge if Bun B speak up on behalf of Megan Thee Stallion or nobody. I rock with Bun, but it's like I don't go to Bun for that. It's like that's more like I don't know. If we talking Texas, we talk I'm thinking Pimp C. Like I don't know. That's just me though.
Okay. Bang. Do you feel like it's up to the big homie to stand up for the young lady in that situation? When it comes to Bun B is hometown Texas. A lot of time when we think about Texas rappers, Bun B is one of the rappers that we thinking about. Do you feel like it's up to the big homies to stand up for the young ladies in the situations?
I mean, if you feel like you should stand up, then you should. So I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I mean, their lives are different from ours. So I mean, he probably just sympathetic to that. And I mean, these celebrities, these artists, I mean, they're still people. They're people just like me and you, and they make mistakes. So just because somebody make a mistake, it shouldn't end their career. All the hard work that they put into building their brand, it shouldn't hurt their career at all. And I mean, it should just be forgiven. That situation was bad. There was other situations where we forgiven. We forgiven Vic. We forgiven Chris Brown. You know what I'm saying? So people make mistakes. It is what it is. It doesn't really make them a bad person, but they, you made a mistake, So now if it continues to happen, at Tory Lanez, just going a shooting spree on their female that he meet, you know what I'm saying? Now it's different, but you know, a mistake is a mistake, and that's just what it is. So yeah, I mean, I don't have no problem with anybody speaking up for you know for for Megan Thee Stallion even before the facts come out.
Okay, okay. Uh, Last question on this subject. I'm gonna go back to you, one of many. I want to ask: should there be a penalty for people? Okay, going back to Ti situation, should there be a penalty for people who put out false accusations of abuse to people? Because Ti is claiming that all of this is false, and it feels like it's kind of tough because when people say stuff about you, you're automatically guilty just because they said something about you.
Yeah, I would say defamation of character is a real thing, you know. So if what you say, especially about somebody that everybody knows, his notoriety level is super high, and you say something that's not a positive, pun on his image, his character, whatever it is, it's like, yeah, that can damage him. That can remove sponsorships. This can remove a lot of deals he got actively, and affect them in more than ways than financially, but it's just reputation. So it can really damage his character if it's not true. If this done for personal gains or financial gains, it's like some people can't recover from things like this. So I don't know what the punishment should be, but I know it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be taken lightly if the shoe was on the other foot of like a man, what I mean, lying on any like we just got to figure out a solid ground of like don't put yourself in situations where this can happen. Real talk, it's like we know what we want to be. Like we wake up in the morning, what's that day gonna possibly go like if you got control of it. So like don't put yourself in a situation where you're gonna be like the headline of Talk 22
Okay.
for the
Okay.
wrong reasons.
Fair enough. All right, Case and Kofa, I want to ask you, the same question here. When we look at the Me Too movement and everything, there's so much as powerful in that movement. But then, when there come situations where, uh, and we don't know if this situation is false or not, but let's say it is. Uh, when there's false situations like that and they get found out to be false, should there not be a harsh penalty to people who put up these allegations that victimizations when they never really did uh, have any abuse?
I think going back to what one of many said, the legal discourse for it is defamation of character. For Ti, if he were to want to seek that, that would be the avenue that he would be able to take. And the eerie thing about it is like, if there's two legal recourses that can be had. So this person who is alleging could actually file suit against the person who they're saying has done the abuse criminally. They can file that if they so believe that this person intended them harm, and that's what was on their mind at any given action. And the issue though was that not often, or like on the side of you got both sides of the legal where it can go, but on the side of the person who's alleging the abuse, um, you don't necessarily have to allege legally. You don't have to follow the legal recourse in order to do damage. You can say it on social media, or you can have an article be written, and that doesn't take as much process as the legal recourse. Whereas on the other hand, PI just speaking out in his defense doesn't do as much damage negation as the other person speaking in the vocal public sphere about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like both sides can take legal recourse. And yes, when that legal recourse happens in a defamation suit, it is quite substantial. It is something that you don't necessarily want to play with. But on the flip end, the other person might not take legal recourse. They might just take social recourse, and
Mhm.
there's no, real way to combat that on the other end. And so then it's like outside of legal recourse, which is still a strenuous process regardless. So there
Mhm.
is like one of many said, there is, a process around mitigating that harm, and there is a process around being punitive towards that sort of situation. It requires legal effort, and so it's a balance.
Okay. Thank you for that, Case and Kofa. Okay, so I want to get to the last story here. The last story that I saw on the internet that I definitely want to touch on was the situation with the Seattle Seahawks player Chad Wheeler, who recently got into a combat situation of choking out his girlfriend, who happens to be an African American lady, and he choked her out and beat her down and did get arrested by the police, but there really was no true news media story about this. So if you're unaware of this story, I am not surprised. Um, my question to you is, why do you think the NFL has failed to punish this player, Chad Wheeler, thus far? I'm gonna go to you, Bang.
Damn, that's a real good question. Um, I'm pretty sure the other NFL players were punished. I know what was that? Ray Rice had the
Yeah, we looked at Ray Rice situation. Ray Rice got, in trouble
situation.
right away.
Yeah, I can't really think of top of my head.
There's
Why he
been some
haven't been?
other black players.
Yeah, I mean, why he haven't been punished, man? That's a damn good question. I mean, for me, the real question is, why would he even do it? I mean, what's the situation? What's the story? Behind
They
it.
claim he had a psychotic episode and lost his mind in that situation and went after her, is what the story's stating. But uh, I guess my question to you is, we've seen in these situations, it doesn't really matter what the situation is. The NFL has came after African American players with the quickness in these situations, and we want to know, why do you feel like they've yet to do anything to Mr. Wheeler at this point?
I guess that's a damn good question. I guess it's a color issue. I mean, you say he had a psychotic trip or whatever. I mean, I don't know if that means he was off his meds or something. I don't know why they're being sympathetic for him or towards him, I should say. But yeah, that's a damn good question. This brand new to me, so I'm
That's allegedly, by the way. We don't know, so allegedly that is the case. Uh, One of many, I want to ask you, the NFL, who, doesn't have a good history with dealing with domestic abuse. A lot of women say that, they get treated very badly by some players, and the NFL looks a blind eye in a lot of these situations. But, when it comes to African American players, they get punished with the quickness with these situations. And you look at players like Ray Rice, they don't ever get their jobs back. Uh, and maybe they shouldn't. But my question is, why do you feel like this player who's so happened to be Caucasian, does not get that same treatment?
I'm gonna be honest. He's white, right? Right. So like this what I would say. Who set the stage? So it's like at this point, we got Black History Month right here. We in the heat of Black History Month. Then we got this super headline where this white man basically beating up his black wife, girlfriend, or whatever it is. So it's like these narratives are being force fed to control it, and it's just like this is all a cycle. This is a system. Like this isn't like it's news, but like, come on. We know why he not charged. This is a flex of a muscle. Like you basically saying like, we can do whatever we want with you in the NFL, in the streets, in schools.
Mm.
Like it's the same outcome. They commit a crime without no consequences at all, and it's just like it's beyond a smack in the face. But the reality is, this is the harsh truth that we live in. We exist at a time where we are not valued as human beings. Period. Even in the wake of death, is not enough to convict a white man over red blood from a black man or a woman or a child. So it's the same results, man. It's sickening. It is really get to the point where we just need to like remove all our resources, even our talent, from their services. Like we really have to make them bleed. You know what I'm saying? In more than ways of violence. We have to remove ourselves. Like it's almost death to celebrities. If you're a celebrity, you already done sold us out. In a way, man. Like that's just how I feel. So I don't. He ain't going. Probably nothing gonna happen. Like if his wife was white, this wouldn't have made news because it would have been an in-house problem. right? It's headline news because now we can be distracted by white man beats up black woman. Here we go, take the bait. And it's like, come on, man. You know, what you want the black man to do here in Madison, Wisconsin, to go slap a white woman or something? Like, what do you like? What is the message you're trying to put out to like control the actions of the people? It's like we know it's problems, we know what's going on, but there's no real conferences, no real classes being taught, or different areas where we can be redirected. And it's sickening. This is America.
Okay. We're gonna go with that same point. I'm gonna go to K Sankofa. I'm gonna ask, you know, one of many just spoke on if the situation was a little different. So I'm gonna go to ask you that same question. Would it be a bigger issue to the NFL if the victim would have been a white female in your mind?
So I'm not really sure. I know that the NFL, like you said, doesn't have a good track record with anything domestic abuse related, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine, you know, I don't necessarily see the NFL as a body that respects, women or womanhood. So it's like I would imagine that the NFL would do the best they could to sweep any of this under the rug instead of any form of truth and reconciliation. Um, you know, it's like when we talk about NFL in terms of black women and white women, it's like I really don't know as far as that's concerned. What I will say is, it's a travesty. What happened is for us, it feels even worse that it happened to a black woman because we know that black women are very underprotected and they're the least protected in our society. So, we feel some type of way about it because it's a black woman. Even if it's a white woman that was happening to, then that's wrong. And the NFL's responses in these situations, have never been in any way, reconciliatory, or at least, uh, fully, recognizing of like what happened with consequences that are maybe uniform, throughout the league. But I think the league has had a bad history with this. And when we think about like football, it's difficult because football is a sport that is very aggressive, and there's a lot of study that links football with continued violence outside of the sport. So it's touchy, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people love them some football. A lot of us love us some football. So, it's a difficult thought. But as far as the rights and wrongs, in terms of the domestic situation that the NFL is dealing with, there ought to be some sort of mechanisms in place where these players are, hearing over and over about the do's and don'ts and just the culture and what the NFL would like to cultivate in terms of these situations. But otherwise, I think it's a travesty. It shouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Okay. Ask Bang. I'm gonna give you an opportunity to answer that same question. Do you feel like it would have been a bigger issue for the NFL if maybe this was a black player with a white wife?
It probably would have been. It probably would have been a bigger story. And I'm not sure if the NFL would have a lot to do with that, or would it just be more so the media would probably blow it up? Because just like you said, and I think one of many said, that story, the original story hasn't blown up. So maybe it's because it's a white man. I didn't hear about it. But if it was the other way around, if it was a black athlete, it wouldn't even matter beating up a black wife or white. I do feel like it would most definitely be a difference if it was a black.
Would I have the black truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Okay.
you put the situation, I thought you was asking me if it was the same white guy and he had a white wife. So
I did ask you that, but then
okay,
I flipped it and changed it for Bang to see if we could see it in a different light, how he would feel about it. Uh, if he thinks the NFL would have looked at it differently in that situation.
yeah.
So it was two different questions, but it was related. Okay, so last question I'm going to ask the whole panel here. Uh, do we feel like other races do a better job of protecting their females of their families than the black race does? And I'm gonna start with you, Winnemany.
They most definitely do. But I will say other races aren't being targeted like the black family has always been targeted either. And that's not a
Okay.
cop out. I'm saying yes, they do. It's not a lot of real barriers in the way of them protecting or growing or just having success. It's a lot of systematic designs in place to ruin that because think about it, man. Okay, look at the black man. Let's go with the narrative. We don't have control. We 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 are not like protecting our black woman, our children. Okay, but out of
Hmm.
all these men that are, who is the most influential? What color is the most influential man in the world?
What color is the most influential man in the world?
Exactly.
Uh, as of right now, the president is white. So yeah, white.
He don't got no influence. I can ask a lot of people like who is Joe Biden? They'll just say the president of the United States. But if they come outside, they mindset, how they look, how they dress, it is not Joe Biden. It's somebody else, right? That's influencing it. So what I'm saying is this: the way that the black family is designed, the black man is not protecting the his woman, his children. Look at what he is doing though, even with all the things that's in front of him, right? So like the things that we did take on, the music, the movies, the sports, whatever, we dominate in those
Okay.
areas. As a black
Okay.
man, we dominate, right? But we
True.
still are we still having this conversation about being able to protect something, right? So we are allowed to excel on behalf of a system that benefits from that. But the moment we come together and unite, it is government structure in place right now to demise that. So like it is not going to be a free ride or a clear path with least resistance if a black man is fully independent, fully is protected. It will be a lot of consequences behind it, but that's why we need a black mafia. That's why we need certain infrastructures in place so we be able to like combat these things with confidence and not worry about the repercussion that's going to come with being a stand-up black man in America, right? So that's what I would say.
Okay.
Like they definitely do protect their women, but we cannot ignore the fact that with the barriers that have been placed in front of the black man while we ask that question.
Okay. Fair enough. Bang. I'm gonna ask you the same question. You know, we look at the Asian families, we look at the Hispanic, the Latino families, we're looking at the uh, Caucasian families and various families. My question to you is: do you think other races do a better job of protecting the females of their families than the African American males?
I think I'm gonna say no, even though I do feel like more black men should protect their women, but at the same time, the ones that do protect their women, they protect their women. They make sure that they women straight. We'll be at the bottom, in the trenches, and we'll get out there and hustle. We'll risk our life. We'll risk our freedom for our family and for our women. You know what I'm saying? And we'll strap up legally or illegally, and we'll do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying, for our women, the ones that do fully protect their women. If our woman is out there in a scrap of a fight, I mean, I ain't seen dudes jump in. It don't matter. It could be all women. You know what I'm saying? He gonna do what he got to do to protect his. So I feel like us as black people, we probably get in more situations where we do have to protect our black women than other races. But I definitely don't feel like other races protect theirs more than we protect ours. We'll go broke and still be with our women and just grind back up to the top. So I don't know if other races are as strong, as us, to stick by their woman through thick and thin, through the hard times, and and build back up, like we will. So I feel like, we black people are up there with protecting our own.
Okay. Appreciate you for that, Bang. All right. So last but not least, Case and Kofa, I'm going to ask you the exact same question. When we look at the other races out there, do you feel like other races do a better job at protecting the females of their families than the black male?
So I think it's a couple ways to look at it. Even when we talk about the word protection. So to give a short answer, I would say that in some ways, other races do a better job of protecting their women and their young women and the females in their family. But I say that with the caveat that, like, for me, part of that protection includes having a secure network and base of family. I think that one thing that we are lacking a lot and heavily is a commitment to Black family. We have a lot of situations where we grow up in homes that are single parented, and that some scholars would term broken homes. We do see that the presence of both the mother and the father of a child um, is better for their development coming up in a happy home or coming up as a kid. And we have some pretty negligent statistics when it comes to that, and part of that is because of the social conditioning that we've had in this country, but also part of it is because of the social and economic oppression that we've had. A lot of Black families are quote unquote broken because of the criminal justice system. Uh,
Mhm.
and when another thing that I think about in terms of protection, so that's my point number one, is we could do a better job of uh, making sure that we support and want to propagate Black family. That's what we want to have. That's the root of the situation, is families coming together and staying together. But the second thing that I'm thinking about in terms of some of those social and economic and societal oppressions are, there are some things that we in this country specifically are less equipped to be able to protect on. So I think towards what one of many was saying, like, we have all of these odds stacked up against us. While everybody in America faces capitalism, and everybody in America faces the general American society, nobody is in as bad as a position as us to get around it. And so because of that, the reality is what we gonna do to the police? You know what I'm saying? What we gonna
Mhm.
do to the government when they raid us and when they take away from our livelihood? What can we do? You know what I'm saying? All we can really do is build ourselves up in a preemptive way so that we can be good amid sudden tragedy. But when it comes to, like, if somebody actively actually went to go try to help support that young Black girl at that school, they would then be a father or a male in a community who would be imprisoned after, shot, either killed by the police or in prison. So it's like, in that situation, it's a lose-lose. But what we can do is focus on our family. And I'll say that other races are able to focus on their families. Other races don't have to worry about being Black in America. You know what I'm saying? And overall, though, I think that we get a lot of flack on this, and we should receive the flack on this, and we should challenge ourselves on this. But I think we have to also understand we live in a society that is not necessarily or particularly concerned with protecting women in general. Like, we live in a male society, right? We just got our first female vice president ever in the history of this country. Not president, vice
Vice
president,
president.
right?
Mhm.
So it's like, we're shifting paradigms and we're thinking about things differently, and the different social movements are giving us a position to combat some of the norms. but society has not typically been, driven towards the respect or the protection of women. Laws for a long time were written only by men and then only by white men. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these laws and a lot of our social standards, and we live in America, right? So we didn't come up with the culture that we live in. The culture that we came up with is hundreds of years away from us. You know what I'm saying? And so we live in a culture that we've now been incepted by, and that we, the lack of respect that is generally the reality in America, as passed down from centuries of laws and social order created by white men, has imparted on us. One thing that I'm jealous of the Native American man, even though the white man um, even though the white man completed a complete travesty against them as well, they were able to still maintain the tact and the sanctity of their community and their personal identity. So they treat their family with the customs that come from generations of their lived existence. Whereas our family customs and traditions that we have in this country are based in the social order that has been given to us and not how we used to live or how we used to perceive ourselves. And so with that, I think that now we're in a place where, you look at Black Twitter, you look at Facebook, you look at a lot of people, you look at YouTube. We're in a position where we want to celebrate Black love and we want to celebrate Black family. And I think that that's what a lot of people are doing today. You still gonna have all these rappers out here, FBs, get money. You know what I'm saying? You still gonna have a lot of people talking to yak, but the reality is, F a B get a queen. You know what I'm saying? And so I like what folks are talking about queen this and king that and queen this. Yeah. That's what it is. That's what it is. You look at Ethiopia, you look at all of our history, the richness, and that's what people are on right now. People are on a renaissance. So while we have slacked on that, I'm happy to look forward to the hope that we now do celebrate Black love and we strive for Black family. And we live in a time where it's the age of information and we woke. We have no reason to be asleep outside of our own negligence and our own ignorance. So right now we're in a situation where it's on us. You know what I'm saying? My hope and goal in life is to, find me a beautiful queen to be with and have a family and protect and provide for them as well. And I think that that's what we ought to be striving for. And, it's just been good to have this conversation. And I think we need to have more of it. And we need to hold ourselves accountable to the reality that, it is our job and our duty to uplift that protection and that we live in a society that's going to sway us in the opposite direction. You know what I'm saying? But it's been a blessing to hear from the co-panelists. And the last thing that I would say is on that journey, we have to for sure just make sure that we aren't the ones who are, because of the societal impressions, we have to make sure that we aren't the ones continuing to propagate that danger and that disrespect towards our own women specifically. So,
right. Yeah, we don't want to be the ones causing the harm. That's for sure. But yes, I want to thank my panel for joining. I am out of time at this time, but I want to thank everybody for joining the program. Once again, we were speaking on a lot of allegations. We don't know anything about the Tory Lanez situation. We don't know about the T.I. We don't know about Mr. Wheeler's situation, but we are speaking just in general and with those allegations. So just want to make sure everybody know those are just allegations at this point. But I want to thank the panel for joining the show today. I want to thank my guest, one of many. Can you let the people know where they can find you and what you've been up to, bro?
Yeah, thanks again for checking in, y'all. My name is one of many. That's it's on the screen right here. You can find me right there, mkt.com/less work. That's the brand, the lifestyle, that's everything in-house, right? I'm everywhere. You just type in what you see on the screen, any social media forms. I mean, Google it, whatever. Talk to me, I'll talk back. But what I do want to leave them with is, for this directed to the Black house, the Black community. We have to understand where our enemies have infiltrated us, and we have to figure out where can we take over in those areas to replace that infiltration, because that's where it's going to build solutions. So replace the infiltration.
Well, thank you for that. Also on the line, we had the homie Bang. Bang, can you let the people know where they can find you?
Yeah, so IG is Bang Too Real, and you can catch me on my website, bang2real.net. Uh, just dropped a new video called Quarantine. Uh, the song is pretty much about the whole pandemic, everything I went through in 2019, and the visuals on that video is dropping a whole lot of knowledge. So if you haven't seen it, holler at me on any one of those links right there and check it out.
Okay, we appreciate you for coming through, Bang. And last but not least, we had the homie K Sankofa out of the LA area. Can you let the people know where they can find you?
Most definitely. You can find me at K Sankofa on most all your social media platforms. And that'll be at K and then period SANKOFA. And I got to get like the homies who both got websites. So I'm clearly slacking. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's been good. It's been smooth. And thank y'all for having me.
All right, we thank you for coming to the program. Yes, like I said, we did have the Million Man March back in 1995, and that was a period for us to reflect. I think maybe we still got some work to do here as Black men, but I appreciate these Black men here for sharing their thoughts on the subject of protection of our culture at this time, and that being starting with the Black female. So until next time, y'all, I appreciate everybody for tuning in and all your comments in the comment section. I'm your boy Mizzle to the Jizzy. You've been watching Radio 22's Talk 22. Till next time, y'all. Peace.
Peace.